the concept of food security first really became part of the political discourse in the early part of the 20th century, around the times of the First and Second World War. Food rationing was in place because getting food from other parts of the world was increasingly difficult. There was a very big drive from governments throughout the world, actually, to increase their food security, and the main route that they took to do that was actually to raise their levels of self-sufficiency.
It's a very difficult topic to try and define food security because it's changed over time and become much more complicated in the way that we construct our understanding of food security. Essentially, it's got to ensure that you've got access to food for all people at all times, and it's also going to include aspects about the nutritional benefit to people and their preferences. So our understanding about food has become more complicated, and as a result, understanding about how we define food security is also.
Evidence shows that agriculture plays a significant role in poverty reduction. A family that has food is able to save for other basic needs like education and health.
If households are more food secure, they're able to diversify their activities, their interest, and essentially be more productive in other ways. So it's embedded into, it's key, it's vital, it's embedded into agricultural development, but also poverty reduction.
Food security is more about food availability, food access, and food utilization.
It wasn't just a question of availability. The question of food access was equally important. So in many cases where there'd been starvation, the Bengal famine being a very famous example of that, a lot of the problems that were arising were largely because the people that wanted to purchase food didn't have the ability to purchase that food. They either didn't have the income or they were unable to access the food because it wasn't available in the places where they needed it.
Ideas about food security have grown out about concerns about poverty, how you enhance development, but also at a local scale, concerns about how you can deliver development and growth. There's different concerns for different sectors of society. For example, if you have refugees, then you might have concerns about how you support food security for people that have been displaced, but you might also, in terms of broader development concerns about how you can enhance people's productivity and contribute to growth.
In the early part of the 2000s, 2008, there was a food price spike, a significant increase in food prices. The wake-up call that we got at that time was that food production and consumption is probably just a bit too important for us to leave it all to market forces. That there needs to be some level of intervention and some kind of policy that contributes to ensuring food security. And that's what we really are investigating now, is what type of intervention is necessary. What we may be facing in 2050 is actually not a problem of hunger, but much more a problem of chronic disease associated with eating the wrong kinds of food. And so actually, we don't just need to be thinking about producing more food in 2050, we need to be thinking about the type of food and developing people's ability to choose the right kinds of diets so that we avoid those sorts of issues.